You thought it was over, but now it's back. And this time with more cellophane. It's another classic unwrapping show on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 It's time for the show. Yay.
What?
It's time for the show of shows, Attack of the Killer Podcast, Joe Rogan's favorite podcast. No, not that Joe Rogan.
Oh.
Joe Herbert Rogan. He was my old roommate in college. I am your host, Insane Mike, and we are doing one of our famous unwrapping episodes. Have you ever bought so many movies for your collection that you just have them sitting on the shelf unopened for years and years and years? Well, we have. We each pick a movie from our collection that we still have never unwrapped, and we all watch it. Now, Attack of the Killer Podcast, it's a horror movie podcast where a group of friends, we get together with a topic and we discuss films within that topic. We're just friends hanging out, so there may be spoilers. If you have not been on our Discord, hey, guess what? You're missing out. Because we currently have a killer contest going on. We're going to turn it over to Jason to give us all the updates of what's going on with our contest.
Killer contest!
Woo woo.
Oh, yeah, man, it's awesome. We just finished May, and we just drew May's winner at the end of each month for the next 3 months now. There's 4 months in a row. Oh, my, just say all the numbers, Jason. Anyway, someone just won May's drawing. It was at XenaFriend97, and that person chose prize pack number 4. That's Toonie Terrors, Vincent Price, Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Glove Chopsticks, Predator Blu-ray, Predators Blu-ray, The Predator Blu-ray, all the Predators, all night long. So congrats to at XenaFriend97. Congratulations for playing along. And it's easy for everyone to do. All you got to do is head over, well, you got to download the Discord app or go to discord.com and then you, so it's more complicated than it should be.
Look, I even know how to work it.
But Brian
so
got there,
y'all can
so
figure
trust
it
me,
out.
it's not bad. But if you go to aotkp.com/discord, that's your invite to our server. And once you're there, all you got to do is say hello in the Welcome Introductions channel. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, your favorite movies, all that stuff. For a chance to win, you can get an extra play if you post something from your collection in the collection sharing channel. And then at the end of every month for the next 3 months, we'll draw 3 more times, and you might win some cool stuff.
A lot of cool stuff. Each of the attackers have put together these prize packages, and there's some really neat stuff. 3 more sets of prizes to go.
I'm just mad that she picked that one because now Tad's going to be cocky because he...
I literally was going to interrupt you and be like...
I know. That's why I tried
so
to
do I
beat
win
you
a prize
to it.
for giving away the first prize?
It doesn't
Clearly
mean yours is the best.
The most desirable, sorry.
No, that's not... Maybe the Vincent Price Toonie Terror was the only one she didn't have yet. That's why she didn't pick mine. I don't know.
But I will also vouch for. We've heard some people say, what is Discord? What is going? Why? And I will say this: if you get on Discord and you like our Discord, you're going to find other communities that you like on your other interests. Not other podcasts because we're the best, but if there's a Discord for all kinds of things. If you like a certain band, you have a certain hobby. It's not, you can get on there and find these great channels, and it's an awesome app. I love it. I use it for several things. So
Me too. And even though us, especially us, and then our listeners aren't necessarily the youngest folks, Brian said it best today, I think. It's a message board.
Yep.
I like
It's like
that
old school
comparison.
message boards, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
with new school technology, it's pretty cool.
aotkp.com/discord.
Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome, Mike.
Now, if you like our show, you can join our Patreon at jointheattackers.com. And when you do, you not only help support the show, but you become part of the killer podcast family that we call The Attackers. As an attacker, you get all kinds of special perks and extra content, like our YouTube shows. You get membership card, certificate, and sticker. You get invited to our exclusive chat, the Attack of the Killer chat. And you also get bonus episodes, like our most recent one that we did was one of our mailbag episodes where people got to ask us all kinds of interesting and
they
personal
did.
questions.
They certainly did.
And boy, oh boy, were there some juicy stuff. I'm mostly talking about the hot dogs.
Stop it.
The only way to hear that show is become an attacker.
This week on Relish Talk.
You can even get shout-outs on the show like these people right here.
Timothy Leonard, Roman Doppelfeld, Larry Watanabe, Brett J. Royer, Jessica Irish, Chris Cook, Brian Godsell, Stefan Sitter, Brandy Moore, Andrew Mahler, Rodney Dean Hutchinson Jr., Carmen DeHague, Abraham Ariano, Andrew Bentler, Casey Kelderman, Tony Miller, Mike Clayton, Rose Talashoma, Abe Kirshner, Lisa Cavalier, Holly Berg, Bill Fisher, Greg Dedrick, Sam Lenz, Garth Jacobson, Brett White, Tiffany Dewey, Scott Reebsman, Chris Collins, and Jacob McLaughlin.
You too can be on that list. Just go to jointheattackers.com, pick the tier that best suits you to get the content that you want, and become an attacker today.
Yeah, my lungs are getting too strong. You got to get some more people on there. Try to choke me out.
Or you need to
Let's
smoke
kill
some
him.
more weed, man.
And now with all of the formalities out of the way, it is time to introduce you to the rest of these yahoos, the podcast crew. On his birthday, he unwrapped his gift, and it was a 10-foot phone charger. He threw it away because he didn't even have a 10-foot phone. Brian.
That's true. My phone is much smaller than that. Hello, everyone.
Last night, he and his wife, Nikki, watched all 3 of these films back to back. Lucky for him, he was the one that was facing forward. Tad.
Oh. Hey, guys. Sorry about everything.
He just picked up on Blu-ray Rocky, Ollie, Cinderella Man, Creed, and $1 Million Baby. It was a boxed set. Jason!
Oh, nice. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you being here.
It's summertime. It's so nice outside. And I can't think of anything better to do during the summer months than sitting in a dark room watching TV. Here's Tad with what we watched.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic, Mike, but summer for me is like sitting inside an air conditioning. When I step out, I'm already over summer. I'm like, summer's not even officially here, and I'm over it. It's already too hot. But
One
Jason,
hot day and he's done.
Yep, Jason, what have you watched?
I was pretty excited. I've already vowed to start working on my end of the year list. I'm the only one who's been filling out stuff in the document.
I'm saving them up
I'll
so I
stop.
can crush you.
I know.
Yeah, he does
I
that
know.
every year.
I know. That's why I'm trying to get a lead or enjoy it while it says I have a lead. Anyway, I was excited for this movie, and then I watched it, and then we'll talk about it after I tell you what it is, I guess. It's directed by Billy Brick and Finn Wolfhard. I got to watch Hell of a
Yeah.
Summer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was excited for it because the trailer told me to.
You always listen to your trailers.
I do. I'm like, how? You know, they're not lying to me. Well, this one, I don't know. Maybe it did. I liked it. It was great. It was awesome. It was just different. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I wanted to like it more than I did, but
Yeah.
like, I love the idea of these 2 youngsters
Yeah,
who've never
fuck yeah.
directing a horror movie. They clearly had fun, but yeah, it just the tone was all over the place, and yeah.
I thought the trailer oversold it. Like,
that's the point of the trailer.
Huh?
That's the point of the trailer. It got you to watch it, and that's their goal. So
Yeah.
But sometimes a trailer can hurt a film,
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and that's that's a fair topic too that we could probably talk about someday. But
Yeah, let's do that instead.
tonight, yeah. But yeah, so man, that the trailer really sold it as this like gore festy, just romp of a hell of a good time, of just this new thing, this new killer, and man, it just, I don't know. I mean, it was funny. The funniness was there. All the kids, I enjoyed them. It just was less than I thought. So but I recommend it though. I'd watch it. And then lastly, because I had to, Pee-wee as himself.
Nice.
Oh my
good.
God, that was awesome.
Yeah, that's
I've only
pretty.
watched the first one so far.
Yeah, you should just stop.
So you haven't got to the part where you're going to cry a bunch yet, then?
I was already
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
I only
choking
cried
up
a
at the
little
first
bit.
episode.
Yeah, only cried a little bit the first part, more in the second part.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm done then.
I assume. Just let Tad talk about it because Tad's the biggest Pee-wee fan.
Well, we could just all talk about it right now. I mean, and then we won't have to bring it back up later. But I absolutely loved it, and it was one of those things. I'm like, I know all about Paul Rubens,
You
but
know all the stuff.
then you watch this and you have no idea about Paul Rubens. Like,
Yeah.
and it's incredible how much footage he had.
Yeah, that's the real treat to the movie.
Yes.
Seeing all his footage, his pictures, his props. And, yeah, just that
So
history.
Oh, his collection of stuff. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What? I wanted more of that. Like,
I don't know. I really like the in between interview stuff where he's razzing the director.
yeah.
So you just don't realize just how naturally funny that man was. So
There's a great op-ed out there. I think it's in Variety or one of the big magazines that the director wrote. It's pretty long, but it's really fantastic about like his insight into the behind-the-scenes stuff and what actually happened. And they touch a little bit on it in the second part about there's a certain point where Paul just like gives up on the documentary and they aren't talking. But the article really goes deep into about how like Paul wasn't even like the director's trying to contact him and he was like he wouldn't talk directly to him. He had to talk to him through his manager, and it was like a year and a half where Paul would not speak to him. And this whole time, like the director, this is not a spoiler for the movie. I think we all know he passed away from cancer, but the director,
Yeah.
like right after they finished shooting this thing, finally getting the last part of the documentary, he gets a text from an HBO exec, and he's like, "Is this real?" And it was like a screenshot of the Variety article. It was like Paul Rubens passed away from after private battle with cancer, and he had no idea. He found out from a text message that Paul had died, and he had gotten this long voicemail from him the night before, and it's just,
oh my goodness.
what a guy, man! Like what a life. I feel, it's uplifting, but also like you feel so bad for a guy who's lived in the closet literally for his entire life, playing this character he created to, hide himself away from our cruel world that would not have let this man be who he wanted to be because of people's poor life views,
And how, like, you're so happy that he was alive for the public to shake that off and accept him back, like that MTV thing. Him
Yes.
coming back.
Yeah.
Like,
The new
the world
movie,
went,
yeah.
who gives a fuck? We love you more than that.
Right.
And that stuff's amazing. And just the like, they really drove home the essence of Pee-wee, being a weirdo, and that being a weirdo is okay. And just remembering,
showing kids that it's okay
Yeah.
to be different.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just remembering how much shit they got away with on the shows, and just how creative and just what a amazing force for kids and being creative and being a weirdo he was. And yeah,
I do want to
Yeah.
interject one lighten the mood moment here, but is it just me, or is the older that Tim Burton gets, the more he looks and sounds like Peter Bogdanovich?
Yeah, a little bit. I always used to think he looked more like Tiny Tim than anything.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah, that was an interesting. Like we're watching it, and I jokingly told Nikki, thinking this wouldn't be the case. I said, we finished the first one, and I'm like, I can't wait to get the second one because I am most curious about Big Top Pee Wee because to me that movie is like the low point for Pee Wee. It's
Yep.
just not a thing. And funny enough, there's like a whole thing about it and why it's not good and what he admits to why it's
Yep.
not good. And it's like, I'm so happy I'm getting this because he's never really spoken about that. It's just sort of bombed and he just pretended it didn't happen and went on with Pee Wee's Playhouse and we just all moved on. Like,
It's like
okay, he has
too much creative control and too
Yes.
much ego, but I also thought like the story about the inspiration of what he was aiming for was really
Right.
interesting
Yeah.
because you
like
never
his family
would have
growing up with the circus and
yeah.
it just didn't get executed correctly.
How'd Nikki take the movies?
She loved it. Yeah, she's much less of a emotional crybaby than me. So, like, when he's talking about
she's
how
like,
he
cool.
came out to his dad, and his dad wrote that letter, it was
Oh.
like, "Be the best. If you're homosexual, be the best homosexual you can be." That I like cried there because I'm just like, I'm so happy that he had that in his life, that he wasn't like he was scared
Extra
to come
tortured?
out.
Yeah.
Come out and say it to the public, but at least he had his friends and family that loved him and knew and didn't. And there's nothing worse to me than when a parent doesn't accept their kid for who they are. That to me, I'm not a parent, but I can say that when you do that kind of disown your kids for something that, they're born that way, fuck off. You're not a good parent. So that part was just uplifting to know that at least he could confine to his family, but it still does make me sad that he lived his whole life afraid of people finding out. So
Gomez. Be the little weirdo Gomez you want to be. That's fine. Yeah, so that's what I watched.
all right, how about you, Mike?
Other than just the first episode of the Pee Wee show thing, the only thing I've had a chance to watch is I did watch Hard Eyes
Oh,
to
good.
get working on my 2025
Yeah.
list. Yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was pretty funny. It's definitely more of a rom-com, but I love how it's a rom-com that's set. Your meet cute is the fact that there's a killer out killing people, and I like how it's the Hard Ice Killer, and it's kind of changed the perspective on Valentine's every year, that this killer randomly has killed people on Valentine's Day for years. I thought that whole setup was really neat, but there's definitely some funny stuff, a great blend of some really cool gore and funny moments. The Hobbs and Shaw joke I thought was great. So I really liked it, but that's all I've had a chance to watch.
Yeah, it definitely had the sort of not quite as fun as Happy Death Day, but it's definitely in that vein of like a good mix of romance comedy. Like I loved it. So, All right, let's go, Brian. What'd you watch?
Actually, I don't have much. I've mostly just been watching TV shows or like, old favorite comfort movie rewatches.
I'd love to know what an old comfort rewatch movie is.
No, like just watching the same Godzilla movies I've watched 17,000 times since I was a kid, kind of thing. So I watched Dakra, which is a kind of sort of Tunisian version of the Blair Witch Project. Came out a couple of years ago. Some journalism students go to a town out in the sticks that's kind of supposedly plagued by witchcraft with ooky spooky results. It came up as one of Vinegar Syndrome's partner label companies released it, and I almost blind bought it, and then I was like, oh wait, this is just like on Tubi, I'm going to check it out before I buy it, and I'm glad I did, because it's definitely worth a watch. It is good, but I didn't love it as much as a lot of people online seem to, and so like it's probably not something I would go back to, so I'm glad I didn't spend like $30 on it, but you watch it on Tubi, do that. I watched Yuzo, The Biggest Battle in Tokyo, which is kind of an existential crisis COVID-19 kaiju comedy. Imagine, but and I put comedy in strong air quotes. It's very like absurd and surreal. Like, so this guy gets fired from his job, and so he gets another job, like, because it takes place during the pandemic and all the lockdowns. So he gets a job with this company whose what they do isn't entirely clear. Every single person he runs into who works there seems to do something different, and then he gets stuck, partnered up with another guy whose job is to go around with a little push cart and steal people's garbage. And then through a whole series of, not like, one of the people who works there is psychic, and she keeps getting flashes of this giant monster destroying the city. And eventually this little blob thing comes down from outer space, and it's supposed to be like, it embodies the COVID virus. And then, like, because of reasons, it explodes from this cute little blob thing into this giant kaiju that they then have to fight. And so imagine a feature length, I think you should leave skit, filtered through like the Japanese sense of humor, and also it's like a super low budget independent kaiju movie. It's very odd.
Awesome.
I enjoyed it, but again, mileage may vary. We watched Call the Conqueror, the one with Kevin Sorbo from the mid 90s. I avoided it at the time because it looked too silly. Like, when it was in the theater, I remember seeing the trailers and like kind of turning my nose up at it. It was funny, Terry and I were talking about this, how when you're our age now, a 5-year age difference doesn't really, like, you don't even notice. But in your formative years, like, when it came out, she was just a little kid who was like, oh, this is a fun fantasy. And she watched it a ton of times as a kid and loved it. And I was already old enough to be like a snob about my media and be like, that doesn't look like Robert E. Howard. Bleh. And it absolutely is too fucking silly, but I had fun with it. I can see why it gave Howard purists the shits at the time, and it totally would have to me too. But there are some fun little bits for the real ones to do, like the Leo meme and point at the screen and go, ooh, I get that. And then make you like immediately wish it was truer to the source material, because it could have been cool. But it seems really odd, like, why was that made? Like, it had to have only been because of the popularity of Hercules, and it was produced by Rafaela De Laurentiis, Dino's daughter. So it was kind of like, oh, Dad had one of these. I want a Robert E. Howard thing too. But there wasn't really a craze for barbarian movies in the mid 90s, really. Like, it was before The Mummy and The Scorpion King and all that shit took off. So it was one of those, like, who was this for at the time? It's odd. The current season of Doctor Who just wrapped up with the regeneration episode of the current Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, who I really liked him, and I wished he had got better stories. The guy who relaunched the show in 2005, Russell T Davies, came back to run this current Doctor's 2 seasons. And I remember when the show first came back, it was very exciting that it was being, like, now made by and for the fans, like Russell Davies always said, like, he was a lifelong Doctor Who fan, and a lot of the people who got to star in it, like David Tennant and Peter Capaldi, were fans from when they were kids and wrote letters into the show and all that kind of thing. And I think it's gotten to the point where they need to not do that anymore and just give the show to someone who, likes science fiction and just wants to tell good science fiction stories, and stop just making it this lazy, obnoxious hodgepodge of fan references while trying to also cater to, like, 15-year-olds. I don't know. The show's gotten to be kind of a fucking mess. And I hope it either goes away for a while or comes back with a whole new creative team and a different take. And finally, I will bring up Heavier Trip. Have any of you guys watched Heavy Trip?
I've seen Heavy Trip.
Okay, yeah.
The sequel.
Yep, the sequel came out last year, and then again, one of Vinegar Syndrome's partner labels put it out on Blu-ray, so I just bought it immediately because I love the original. And the sequel isn't quite as good as the first one, but it's still pretty goddamn funny. In this one, so at the end of the last one, if you remember, the band Impaled Rectum got arrested and taken to jail. So in this one, it starts out they're all in jail, and then they find out that the guitar player's dad, who owned the reindeer farm, where, like, he was sawing up the reindeer carcass that gave him the idea for the rhythm that made their big hit song in the first one. His dad gets sick, and the bank threatens to foreclose on the property. So they have to break out of prison and travel to Germany to play the Wacken Open Air, which is like metal Lollapalooza. It's like the biggest metal festival in the world. And with the money they make from playing the show, then they can then save the reindeer farm. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think I've seen a trailer for that.
Yeah, I highly recommend. I mean, even if you don't want to shell out for the Blu-ray, like I'm sure it's available to rent on Prime if nothing else.
why
And
I
it's
think I
it's
saw
well
the
worth
trailer, yeah.
well worth your rental dollars or your purchasing dollars, because
I'd
I
say I
love
just
these
didn't know
movies.
they did a sequel.
Yep.
That's cool. Something to look forward to now. Someone asked me.
Dad, what did you watch?
Oh, thank you for asking. I too watched, as obviously Pee-wee as himself, but one movie I watched, I saw it film scene because it did not come here, is Friendship with Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson. If you know me, I am a huge Tim Robinson stan. I fucking love this man. His show, I Think You Should Leave. I subjected Mike and Jason to, I believe, 2 seasons of it at a very loud
Straight.
volume in a bed at an Airbnb. We just watched straight through.
Oh my God, how?
So dumb, but so funny.
It's amazing.
It was
we
awesome.
needed it.
Yeah. The movie is so good. So the story is like Tim Robinson sort of plays Tim Robinson, and he's a weirdo dude that lives down the street. And Paul Rudd moves in, and he's like the cool neighbor. He's a weatherman. He's in a band. He has a bunch of guy friends, and Tim tries to befriend him, and he's socially awkward, and shit gets dark. And it sort of turns into a horror movie pretty quick. I want to spoil this one scene so bad, but there is a scene that takes place in a Subway restaurant that made me cry laughing. It's so fucking stupid and funny. But the movie is way more like dark than I thought it would be. It's a dark comedy. There's way more. It's more of a drama with it's very cringe of like this guy not knowing how to act in public, so doing things he shouldn't be doing. Very, very good, and a weird soundtrack. Has like Slipknot in the soundtrack, and it's just very strange, but a strange tonal movie, but very, very, very funny. I've seen people that like really love I Think You Should Leave and thought this was like too dark and weird, and I've seen the other end where people are like, I don't like that show, but I actually like the movie.
Yeah, see, I do want to see this because I'm in that camp. Like, everyone told me to watch the show, and I watched like 2 episodes, and like I laughed at like 1 skit per episode. I just can't do it. It's just not my kind of humor. But I've heard this described as like a darker, more fucked up version of Cable Guy.
Yes, that's a
And-
good way to say
yeah.
it. Yeah, that's a very good description. So yeah, I recommend that. Very good. Then I saw Karate Kid Legends. Jason, have you seen this yet?
Nope. I was like, oh, let's do first time again. Let's do it.
I'm down.
But yeah, no, I saw it was out. I haven't even watched the trailer yet. Tell me about it.
Nikki and I went and saw it on like one of the Thursday the first Thursday preview. We were like the only people in the theater, which bummed me out because I'm like, Karate Kid. I think the producers were like, Cobra Kai is kicking ass. Let's make another movie, and I don't think it's translating to that. The kid that plays the Karate Kid is really, really good. I don't have his name in front of me, not prepared, but he's fantastic. The story is very simple, very much the same as all the other Karate Kid movies. But the catch on this one is that they bring Daniel LaRusso and Jackie Chan together in a movie. So they're making they're making the Jackie Chan films canon now. So they're all in the same universe, which before it was like a reboot and it took place in a different world. And a lot of the fans bitched because he's learning Kung Fu in the movie's called Karate Kid, myself included. Listen to First Time Podcast. But they combine these, and it's really if you just want to turn your brain off, watch a popcorn movie. It's not a deep thinker. It's not. Don't take it serious. It is what it is. It's fun. Basically, this kid is in Beijing. He's learning from Jackie Chan. His mom hates him doing karate, so she moves him to New York. It sounds familiar. It's the same as the first movie of, we're moving Daniel LaRusso from the East Coast to the West Coast, and suddenly he's in this school, and he doesn't know the streets, and but they happen to have this big karate tournament, and he has to win it to win the girl and save the pizza shop. I'm like, this is basically a
Amazing.
reboot. But the idea is like Jackie Chan's character is the kung fu guy, and he's taught him growing up. Well, I've got to balance this kid. How do I do that? Well, it ties it in. I won't spoil it because Jason's probably going to watch it. So, anyways,
Yes.
they somehow bring Daniel LaRusso into the story. It's very predictable, very by the numbers. Absolutely does nothing new. It has Joshua Jackson in it, which is good to see him back on the big screen. He's a cutie. If you grew up watching Dawson's Creek and you had an older sister like me, you recognize him, or Mighty Ducks. But I'm going to move to the important one. Bring Her Back.
Oh.
I saw this movie. I have half days at work now, and I was like, I should probably go see this one before letting Nikki see it because I heard it's really fucked up. It's the Philippou brothers from Australia. They did Talk to Me, and now they're doing another 3-word command movie. It's Talk to Me, now Bring Her Back, and
They're going to
tell her
finish
no.
the
I don't know.
sentence on the next one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had seen some trailers for it, but I tried to not even read what the story was. It has Sally Hawkins and then a bunch of unknowns. This movie, when I left the theater, I saw it completely by myself on a Friday matinee. I left work, went over, had some Chinese, got some popcorn, sit down for the movie, and it was dread from the fucking opening second till the closing second. I walked out of the theater, and the staff at the theater was having a little meeting in the hallway, and the suite manager, Chelsea, who knows me very well because I'm at the theater. That was the second time I've been at the theater in 12 hours. She goes, "Oh, how'd you like the movie?" And I said, what did I say?
Don't recommend.
No, I said, it's the feel-bad movie of the year. And she goes, "Oh, no, I'm sorry. You didn't like it?" And I said, "No, I loved it. That's what I came here for. I didn't come seeing this movie to feel good about life." And she's like, "Is it pretty dark?" I'm like, that doesn't describe it. I don't even know if I want to talk about the story too much, but it's basically like these.
I don't want to know anything about this
Okay,
movie.
okay. I won't spoil anything.
And then after that conversation at the theater, you left and went to the Circle K.
I'm trying to think if I did. I might
You
have.
can, I don't want to ruin your thing. Like, go ahead and talk about it if you want to. I know you're not going to spoil anything important. So.
No, I'm not going to spoil. I'm not even going to sell the story because I think going in blind, which is
Sounds like a fine, lighthearted comedy to me.
yeah. No,
For you, yes.
well, did you see Talk to Me, Brian?
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
Loved it.
And this like is them doing this, but like more devastating. Like
What?
I will say this.
Christ.
Carson Morrissey, who's a friend and a filmmaker, left a great review that just said, "Fuck them kids, the Philippou brothers." Like that's the review. So that's what I'll leave it as for Talk to Me or Bring Her Back. Go see that. Is fantastic. And then the only other thing I really watched was Billy Madison on the big screen last week, and it's still fucking funny. It's the best Adam Sandler movie, in my opinion. And people were laughing like they'd never seen it before, and it's celebrating 30 years. We're all old.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and we played on the big screen, and just hearing a theater full of people laugh like it's the first time they're seeing a movie at everything. There's just so many little things in those early Adam Sandler movies that are great. Just weird characters. The janitor at the school, he's like, "I could use a beer," just do, Billy, I'm gonna have you shave my armpits. That little stuff like that, or what's the Sasquatch one? The Sasquatch. I know who ate the lunches. That damn Sasquatch. Just lots of great one-liners. Love that movie. That's what I watch.
All right. Thank you, Tad. Now, let's get into some unwrapping. Brian, what did you unwrap for this episode?
I unwrapped The Bride from Hades.
"この世のものでないと申しましたら、あのようにむつまじゅうちぎりなされたもの、
新三郎様が女のいい幽霊と寝てるんですよ。幽霊と合いびき、そんなバカな。先生、
私の留守に女引き入れやがってちくしょう。道路な道路いいな。
ちょっと待って、おみね、おみね。
どうしたのおよね。お札が貼ってあるのです。新三郎様、お札を剥がしてくださいまし。
心変わりをしたのではない。そなたたちを思う心に変わりはない。
新三郎様、このお札を剥がしてくださいませ。
I'm sure every one of our listeners understood every single word of that 19-minute long trailer. And speaking of lengthy things, it's going to get a little long-winded, so I apologize. Because the short way is to say a guy accidentally marries a ghost, but that doesn't really tell you much. So
Please explain it to me.
There needs to be a little bit of cultural background. So this is set during Oban, which is the summer ghost festival. It's typically celebrated for 3 days in mid-July or mid-August, depending on the region of Japan you're in. You can still buy tickets for the one this year. The big one is August 13th to 15th. Anyway, families will make special trips to clean the graves of their ancestors, perform a traditional dance called the Bonodori. And like the start dates, the dance and music differ depending on the region. The spirits of the ancestors return to their household altars, and on the third day of the festivals, the souls are guided back to the land of the dead by bonfires, or sometimes, as in this movie, by lighting lanterns and floating them down a river to represent the souls returning to the afterlife. So, Shinzaburo's brother has just died, who is the oldest member of, or oldest son of a family, and his family expects him to marry his brother's new wife because she's too young to be a widow. And the timeline is a little confusing because the movie seems to add a day to Oban, and the lantern ceremony takes place on the first night, but that might just be a little cultural detail that I didn't quite understand either. Anyway, this lantern ceremony sequence is gorgeous, and the march to the river and the one at the end are, I think, the only locations. We can get to that later. Anyway, Shinzaburo helps unstick a couple of lanterns. They get stuck on a branch, and two women thank him for helping them. Later, they come to his house to thank him again, and Oyone, the older one, asks him to take Otsuyu as his wife just for the remainder of Oban, since she has been promised to an old man that she doesn't want to marry because she's still young and beautiful, and he's old and gross. Shinza's nosy neighbor Bonzo sees the women leaving and blabs to a friend in a bar the next day, but the friend says, "You could not have seen what you said you saw," because he knows those women are dead, and they're only able to manifest physically because it's their first Oban as ghosts. And this creeps him out so bad he imagines the waitress is a faceless ghost, and this really, like, it's super brief, but it's really creepy. So Ione performs a wedding ceremony for the two the next night, and Bonzo finally sees the ghosts for what they really are, and so he goes to the high priest, and they say, okay, you have to lock up Shinza for the rest of Oban, because otherwise the ghost will drain his life and take him to the underworld. And at first Bonzo agrees, but then Ione begs him to stay with Shinza agrees to be locked up. Excuse me. See, I told you this got complicated. And Ione begs him to stay with Otsuyu for the rest of the festival, and because he's such a big softie, he agrees. And it starts to drain him, so his friends forcibly lock him up and cover the house in prayer scrolls to keep the ghosts away. But then Bonzo's wife, Omine, comes home from work. She works in another town somewhere, so she only gets to come home every once in a while. And they decide they can blackmail the ghosts. So for 100 Rio, which equates to roughly $80,000 today, they'll tear off the prayer scrolls. And they do, and Shinza dies because the ghosts drain his life. And as they're digging up the grave the ghosts left the money in, hoping to find more. The ghosts say, when they blackmail them, the ghosts say, "Go to our grave and dig it up, and the money will be there." They decide, well, there must be more money there, right? So they go on the way out of town to fully dig the graves up to try to find more treasure, and then the rest of the townspeople see them and think they're grave robbers and fucking murder them.
They murdered
So
them hard.
it's kind of a grim meditation on how greed and short-sighted stupidity kill kindness and goodwill, which is represented by Shinzaburo, because his main ambition was to open a public school for the poor kids in the village. Like, that's why he didn't want to marry his older brother's widow, because it would take his time away from that, and he wanted to marry for love somewhere down the road, but eventually the stupid greed will destroy itself. This is one of many, many adaptations of this folk tale. Going back to the silent era, there were I think 12 or 13 versions of this made on film before they even got to the talkie period, and then this was the second or third talkie one. A few years later, it was remade again as a Roman porno, so there's lots of ghost boobies. And it's still
What's the
being...
name of that one?
Ghost
I'm just kidding. You know.
This one is also sometimes called Peony Lantern, and I think the Roman porno one I forget. Anyway, the last one I found was a mini-series made for television in 2019. So like I said, this is an old story, and it keeps getting remade because it's very popular. And I think a lot of people... This came from a box set called Die Gothic from Radiance Films, and this is the last of the 3 movies in the set I hadn't watched. And some of my friends who are much bigger Japanese film nerds even than I am were kind of disappointed that they didn't include something a little more obscure than this, but I was happy because I'd never seen this before. So, and I thought it was really, really good. As I was saying before about the lantern ceremony sequence, I think that and the march to the river and the bit at the very end are the only location shots in the whole thing. The rest of it's all soundstage, and I've always loved the look of sound stages in Japanese movies because it's not about realism so much as creating an atmosphere, and especially in a movie like this. So it's kind of the same thing as the old foggy graveyards in Universal horror movies from the 30s and 40s. It gives it this really appealing sense of artificiality, like you're going through a really well-made haunted house.
Yeah, or almost like a kind of a dream state.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've got a bunch more stuff I could go through, but you guys want to cut in and keep it from just me blabbing about
It was
nerdy
cool.
shit.
That's Tad's review.
Yeah, no, I do feel like a dummy watching it because I'm like, I can't wait for Brian to fully explain it. I read up, and now you got the idea. He marries the ghost. The ghost can't come in because of Skrull. He was taken advantage of because he's the nice guy who decided not to be just a samurai. He's teaching the kids how to read and write. I got the gist of it, but a little bit was over my head. But what a beautiful film.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just you could watch it on mute and it would still be awesome. Just visually stunning and really cool. And I don't know how to explain it, but just a vibe to it is really cool. And I really enjoyed it. Thanks for bringing this to us. I didn't write a whole lot of trivia because I figured you'd get to a lot of it, but you're correct. This is a 14th filmed version of the story to be produced.
Yeah, I love this one. This is probably my favorite of the episode, and yeah, my note on this, it's hard for me to talk about it because all my notes really just say atmosphere. It's better.
Yeah, it is very atmospheric.
It does such a great job of this creepy tone, even though the ghosts aren't monstrous or evil or anything. It's really kind of a love story going on there, but the simplicity and the effects is what really impressed me and really added that atmosphere. Just little things when it's more spooky ghosty makeup, it's just makeup. It's not like big prosthetics or anything like that. I mean, you do get a couple skeleton shots, which is cool. And then just little things, just like adding the echo to their voices there, or just a little fan off to the side that's making the the strands of hair kind of dance around them, giving them more of that ghosty effect, and the lighting.
The light, and when Bonzo sees the ghosts for what they really are when Ione is performing the wedding ceremony,
Yeah.
like it's I have basically the exact same note, like proof that simplest is still best. Like
Yes.
the effect of them floating through the air, like it's just the women kneeling on a board that's being lifted up and shot in a way that you can't see what's holding them up.
And
But
sometimes
God
I don't
damn
even
it,
feel
that's
like-
not effective.
And sometimes I felt like some of the shots weren't even that much. Like
Yeah.
they're still kind of moving in the frame, but the camera's doing a lot of movement that I think adds to the float, effect.
Or their makeup is shaded in such a way that when they light them from below, it makes their face look gaunt and skeletal. Without like that's something it'd be all CGI today, but it's like 5 cents worth of pancake makeup and a light, and it makes
Exactly.
them look like they're practically transparent. It's incredible.
Yes, so very well done, and kudos for the simplicity and all that. I think it's like you said, it adds way more than some big CGI, poltergeist thing popping out of a closet or something.
Yeah, and I love the stuff between Bonzo and Omine. Like they're probably my favorite performances in the whole movie. Omine is played by Mayumi Ogawa, and Bonzo is Ko Nishimura. Mayumi started in film in 1963, and she still does some work in entertainment. Along with being a Shingon Buddhist nun, she won some acting awards, and when Cleopatra was released on television in Japan, she dubbed Liz Taylor.
Oh,
And then Ko Nishimura was in approximately 6 million samurai movies, including a bunch of Zatoichi movies, all 3 Hanzo the Razor flicks, which are amazingly gross and tasteless, and I highly recommend all of them. But yeah, I think those are my favorite performances in the movie. Like when she comes home from work, she's just exhausted and sick of his shit immediately, and it starts out funny, and then it gets really serious because he keeps, like, he's really obviously distracted and has something else on his mind, and she thinks he's cheating on her at first. And the connection between those two just feels so real. Like you just get such a great sense of their relationship. And then as soon as she twigs to it that there might be some money to be had, she totally takes over the show, and he becomes second banana to her, and she's the one who wants to blackmail the ghosts.
Yep.
And he just goes along with it because he's a chicken shit.
So basically $80,000, and then she's that greedy to, in broad daylight, decide to go dig up the graves for more money. So
Yeah, I mean, and so
Idiots.
it's still adjusted for inflation. Like now, $80,000 is like, but back then you probably could retire to another prefecture and not have to worry about anything anymore. The Shinzaburo, the main character, is played by Kojiro Hongo, who's a Dai contract player. He was also in a ton of samurai movies and in a bunch of kaiju stuff. He was in a really fantastic one from 1962 called The Whale God, which was for a long time thought like it's just never going to come over to the States. You can buy it on Blu-ray now from SRS Cinema. I highly recommend doing that. He was in Gamera versus Baragon, and this is one of my favorite little bits of stuff from any kaiju trivia. They wanted him to come back for the next one, Gamera versus Gyaos. And he was like, God fucking damn it, I'm a serious actor. I don't want to do these stupid child movies. So he had a friend who was a doctor, and he had his doctor friend write him like a legit doctor's note, basically saying he was too sick to come out and play with the monsters. But the studio called his bluff because they really wanted him to be in this movie and said, oh, that's fine. We'll just delay the production until you get better. So, oh, son of a bitch. So he had to come back. And
got a doctor's note to not be in a movie. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And then the director, Satsu Yamamoto, had a film career that was kind of similar to a lot of Japanese film industry people in this period, like Ishiro Honda, director of Godzilla and a lot of the old Toho kaiju flicks, and the writer Takeshi Kimura. He started at Shochiku Studios in 1933 as an assistant, got stuck making propaganda films during World War II, eventually wound up getting drafted and sent to China to fight. Now he came back from the war, just like Takeshi Kimura and just like Ishiro Honda. Well, Honda was not quite so radical as Kimura and Yamamoto, but became a hardcore leftist, made pacifist films at Toho, got very involved with workers' unions, and when a lot of the film industry unions went on strike, wound up getting fired from Toho, so he was an independent director for a long time before coming back to studios like Nakatsu and then Daiei in the 60s. He made this movie. And he kept working in film then up to his death in 1983. So even after all that tribulation, he still got to keep doing what he, like, the last movie he directed was 82. So he was working almost literally right up until the time he died.
Jason, you've been silent.
Oh,
yeah, you've been kind of quiet.
Yeah,
Probably
no,
just because I won't shut up.
That's mostly that. I liked it a whole lot. It was great. It was, like y'all said, the atmosphere is amazing. It was all about seeing them floating was the fucking greatest part. Every time it happened, it's like, oh fuck, that's cool. Like, I'm getting creeped out. It's so cool. I think the hardest part for me to watch, though, was what they call pillows. Like, bricks that are like 12 inches off the ground. How is that comfortable?
How did she go to sleep that quickly?
That's not possible. How do they count those as pillows?
We've got I'll send you a picture when after we get off. We have something similar to that. I think ours is Chinese, not Japanese, but it's called a pillow box, where it was one of those things, but there was a little lid that could pop up and you could put valuables in it. And so when you were traveling, then you'd lay on that. Okay. That way people couldn't steal your shit because you were literally laying on your valuables. So you would wake up if someone tried to rob you.
God damn it.
You could fall asleep.
Looks so uncomfortable. But yeah, and it's great that this one got, a nice transfer. The American Genre Film Archive did a good job of giving us a good copy of this, and it was great. I really liked it a lot.
Oh, and the priest they go to is Takashi Shimura, who, if you watch really any Japanese movies from this time period, you'll recognize him. He was at one point regarded as the greatest actor in the world. He's in a shitload of Kurosawa movies. He's in the original Godzilla and a few other Godzilla films later on. It's always cool when he pops up in something, which is almost always, like I said.
Excellent. Oh, yeah. Highly recommended. Okay, so I get to do our next film.
What's our next movie, Mike?
I get to, like this is a privilege. 2005's House of Wax.
I don't know. It's getting late. What do you want to do?
Keep going.
Why don't we just camp out? I mean, we're close enough, right?
Where the hell is this place? Town's not even on the GPS. Hello? I don't think anyone's here. Hey, where's that House of Wax? It is wax. Literally.
You're not gonna go in there, are you?
Look how detailed this is.
Okay, this is getting kind of creepy.
I heard something. What are you gonna do to me?
Go, Charlie, run!
They're all wax, everyone.
Behind you!
What's going on?
A group of generic teens are unwittingly... Wait, hold on a second. They're not really generic. I'm sorry. I gotta say they at least have one character trait. They're all annoying. So let me start again. A group of generic annoying teens are unwittingly stranded near a strange wax museum. Not just a museum full of wax statues. A whole museum that is made out of wax.
What?
Our relatable heroes must fight to survive and keep from becoming the next wax statues. This is directed by, do I even try? Can somebody help me out here? Wam Colette Serra. Am I close at all? He directed Orphan,
Sure.
which I really like, and The Shallows, which is really good, and then Black Adam. It's got Eliza Cuthbert, Chad Michaels, Jared Padalecki, John Abraham. So it's got a really good cast, including Paris Hilton.
Yep.
Okay, guys, so seriously, I tried. I honestly, seriously, I tried. I've boycotted this film forever because how dare they turn a classic Vincent Price movie into an early 2000s bro-ish slasher film. But over the years, many horror fans have defended this film.
Many.
So I figured, I should really try, and I feel like it's bad to assume that it's something, to have an opinion on something without ever seeing it, right? So
Right.
it's not fair to the film and the people who made the films. But as it turns out, it was exactly what I feared it was.
Aw.
I went in disconnected from the Vincent Price film. I mean,
And thankfully, so does the movie.
Well, yeah. Well, not completely, because our killer's name is Vincent. That's clever.
Well, but yeah.
But the Vincent Price film is a remake in and of itself anyway, right? So
Right.
So it's not sacred territory or anything, but man, this movie is flat. It's just a generic slasher cash-in. The characters are so unrelatable with no personality. Other than everything being made out of wax, there's really nothing new here. And I thought that concept was kind of neat until I start to overthink about it, on how structurally unstable that whole thing would be. There's just no way. But it just overall just felt very paint by numbers. I wasn't excited by the kills or anything. Just didn't feel like it really gave me anything. And I was also really trying hard to stay away from picking on Paris Hilton, but I can't help myself. Her acting is the same as she's running in fear as it is when she's dead.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is it just
serious?
Did you notice she has like a weird old lady scream? Like instead
Yeah.
of a full-throated like scream queen like shriek, high-pitched shriek at the top of your lungs, it's more like a
Well,
like
they
like an
mentioned-
old auntie who sees a mouse in her bathroom kind of scream.
They mentioned that in some of the trivia. I didn't have it in my trivia, but she was embarrassed by her scream, so she had like the cast do like a scream with her. Yeah,
I thought she was fine. I thought she did a good job. I thought she probably did better than Alicia did.
She's basically just there to send herself up, like to the point where they recreate her sex tape even with night vision when they're in the cars. Like, I don't know. I thought that was funny. Maybe that's
Yeah,
just
I
me.
mean,
The third act was the finale was kind of cool with like the house being on fire and then just them getting like quicksanded into the floors and
that
stuff.
was awesome.
That stuff was awesome.
yeah,
And it was
there's-
almost all practical too. Like it
Right,
looked
I was
like
gonna
a
say,
lot
the
of
whole
different
movie's
elements
practical.
sort of composited together. So there was some digital work, but each individual element of that effect was like
And I believe it's 100% practical, but I just want to say that I've flipped through way too many TikTok videos of really weird AI generated little videos, and it almost kind of felt like that.
yeah, but this was way before that.
No, I know.
Like,
I know it like it's all practical. I'm just saying that's kind of what it reminded me of.
I can't imagine a
this
building
movie.
made totally of wax would last long in Louisiana.
I know, right?
Like, it did not need a full-blown house fire to melt.
Tad just said he dug this movie.
I kind of do, too.
I like it. I will say, it is from a certain like time period. One,
yeah.
I really like the soundtrack. It has fucking Interpol.
Oh, it opened up with Deftones. I was like, damn it,
Deftones, My Chemical Romance. Like, this is my jam. It came out at a time like when I was just graduating high school, so this was like marketed directly at me at the time. It is generic, but not to jump forward to too much trivia, but like the whole Paris thing. If you remember when this came out, they marketed the whole entire movie around getting to see Paris Hilton get murdered because she was so hated that they're like, let's stunt cast her and sell seats. And to me, that is like an old, gimmick of like, instead of the skeleton on a string across the theater, it's the modern version. Come see
some old school ballyhoo done mid 2000 style.
Yeah, and it's fun, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. I thought, like Mike said about the House of Wax thing. So again, jumping into some of my trivia because I have a lot of it on this one. The director admitted in an interview with Fangoria that this film is actually a remake of Tourist Trap. In everything but name.
It felt way more like
wow. That totally makes sense.
But Warner Brothers insisted that they call it House of Wax as the title because it was more recognizable. So they basically like pivoted a little bit and made it more of a House of Wax. But he was like, he pitched it as more of a Tourist Trap reboot.
Now that you
so
say
did
that,
they well, you don't know the answers, so this is hypothetical, but did they re-script it to include the wax stuff then, or was
he didn't go much further into that.
Like I
but
said,
there is a thing. This is sort of cool. I'm just jumping right into the trivia because it's so interesting. I think the making of, the marketing, all the stuff about this movie is just as interesting, probably more interesting than the actual movie. But Tim Burton wanted to direct a musical remake of House of Wax starring Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was in, but no studio would pay for it because it was after his allegations.
Oh.
Can you imagine a fucking Tim Burton musical House of Wax starring Michael Jackson? What the fuck?
I've seen a Tim Burton musical, and I thought it sucked, so...
Which one?
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah. Not my favorite.
If they did rewrite the script to add all the wax, I have to give them props for going all fucking in on it.
True. Yeah.
Like
that finale was fucking cool.
I remember
the finale saved the movie for sure.
Yeah. When this first came out, Mike, I was in the same boat as you. I was like, fuck you, you can't do that. This is horseshit. And okay, I give you like all the characters are crap. I watched it like 3 days ago and I couldn't tell you any of their names other than, Paris Hilton and the guy from Gilmore Girls. But And there are long stretches where nothing happens and those are boring. But when stuff finally happens, I like all the stuff that happens. Like, I love the bit when she's chained up in the basement, but she's under the, like, when he's talking to Gilmore Girls guy, the one of the main villains, and she's
Michael
like
Murray.
sticking her finger through the grate trying to get his attention.
Oh,
he just casually leans down and clips her fucking finger off with
Our
those
lead
side cutters.
Yeah. Or the scene where... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and like you're set up to think Gilmore Girls guy is... Or no, you're set up to think Gilmore Girls guy is going to be the main dude. He dies first. He wasn't even the guy... See, that's how interchangeable the characters are. He's already dead. The gas station dude's talking to somebody else when he cuts the girl's finger off.
And there's that the relationship between the brother and sister was creepy because it was
weird.
Like,
I didn't realize for
incestual.
It took like 2/3 of the movie for me to get, they're brother and sister. I thought they used to be boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah,
and
right?
now he's
Weird
mad
sexual
at the
tension.
other guy. Yeah.
No, she turned him in, and he went to jail because of
she ratted him out.
Right, because he stole a car or something. Well, she didn't even rat him out. She just said she didn't know anything about it. And so it wasn't even so much he was mad that she ratted him out. It was because she didn't defend him. And she was like, how the fuck am I supposed to defend you? I didn't even know you did this. A cop
he's
shows
mad
up.
because she fucking
and then
somebody
we
else.
convolute the story more, and he didn't actually steal it. He covered for the other dude with the red hat that lost his
Right.
camera.
The
I was like,
dumbass.
what the
Yeah, the
fuck?
stoner dude. Yeah.
Unnecessary story shit. But
So a couple of years after this came out was, I think, finally when I saw it, because, like I said, it was released and I went same reaction as Mike, and then all the
Everybody
defense just
defended
kept
it.
building and building and saying, no, it's totally different, it's fun, and so I watched it, like, yeah, this is kind of fun. I haven't seen it for almost 20 years, so I watched it again. It's like, yeah, this is still fun. Is it my favorite movie? No. Am I gonna go buy it? Fuck no. But I wasn't mad about watching it again. There's 3 more things and then I'll shut up. So this is the second episode in a row with a Justified cast member. The creepy roadkill dumper guy is Dewey Crow in Justified, which is a fucking awesome show.
the third brother.
Yes.
Okay.
The machine that turns Gilmore Girls guy into a statue is basically the horror version of the gadget that the bots used to turn Joel into Arch Hall Jr. in the MST3K EGOT episode.
It's Supernatural too, by the way. The Jared Padalecki.
Oh, right.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah.
Is that what? So we were talking about that when we watched this, wondering if the reason they had that cool vintage muscle car was to reference Supernatural, but Supernatural started like a year or 2 after this, so I think it was, And then
So
when
Supernatural is a homage to House of
yes,
Series sequel.
and then when they finally unmasked the killer, like the psycho guy at the end, he kind of looks like Demon Dave from Dark Force Entertainment. I don't know if you guys have been following their fucking soap opera on Facebook. That like it's really stupid home video label that's in this like big feud with Synapse. Anyway, that's it.
So this movie came out 2005, the same year that the Fog reboot came out, the same year that Amityville Horror reboot came out, the same. It's just
So I
King
was in a bad
Kong,
mood that year.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it all boiled down to.
Assault on Precinct 13 remake came out that year.
Yeah.
Just a tough year for reboots, but I mean this
Wait a
falls
minute,
right
but
in
King
there.
Kong, Peter Jackson's Kong is good.
That's on a-
I will
that's
go
different.
to the plate for that one.
I'm with you.
different.
Yeah, that's
It's a little different, but it definitely falls more in the line of the Amityville, the Fog, somewhere in between. Because I thought Amityville was actually pretty decent reboot with Ryan Reynolds, and then the Fog is
Breaking
atrocious.
Glass movie.
yeah, the jumping through window
But,
breaking movie. Yeah.
This is something that I owned at some point on DVD. I bought it, I think, a used copy from Blockbuster when they went out of business, and then I must have sold it at a garage sale or donated it or something because I could not find it on my shelf. And I think I had seen it one time because I had the DVD, and I must have not enjoyed it much because I gave it away or sold it or whatever. But I didn't. I went in thinking this was going to suck, and I thought it was pretty fun. I love the practical effects. Some of the brutal moments, like when the dude finds Gilmore Girls sitting on the bench, and he's like waxed up, and he starts peeling his face off.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is a great. Or when at the end when like he clean breaks the head off. That is awesome.
Trying to do a good thing.
Trying to help
Right.
him. And he's like, oh no, this is terrible.
Yeah, I just imagine like that's like the worst. Like he's like trying to get him out and just breaks his head clean off, or he's peeling his face away.
Now
And,
what do I do?
it's creative ways in a House of Wax, like a brutal way. And like I said, some of the there's so much interesting trivia on this because of like MTV did a whole like series leading up to this. They did like a sort of what you would do for special features on a DVD or Blu-ray, but they did a whole like TV show. It was like the making of House of Wax, and you would like watch it every week as a episodic show, which is weird. But some pretty cool, like I said, practical effects. If you just separate it from House of Wax, the original, and when I'm watching it, I'm like, some of this is like, it reminds me of Tourist Trap. Then I see in the trivia, yeah, like the director, that's what he was going for, but no one knows, besides us fucking dorks know what Tourist Trap is. So they're like, House of Wax, that's a way better title. But
I don't know. Maybe I would have liked it better if it was Tour Trap, because it's the premise setup that I felt like I'd seen this over and over and over again.
yeah,
but then
it was driving me nuts.
because
Like,
that's the setup in Tourist Trap. So maybe it would have made a better effect on me, I guess.
Get to the football game thing was driving me nuts. Like, I don't know.
all of it. I made sure to check, and it was 34 minutes before he touched the House of Wax, before they even went in. 34 minutes of just...
And then it got cool, though, like, when they go into
Sure.
the church during the funeral and then find out, like,
You
everybody
do
in there
that,
is...
like, you show the thing, but then you go back, you're like, it wasn't even real.
Yeah.
And maybe that a long period of time before we get to that is... maybe I checked out, and that was also part of my problem.
Understandable. I mean, I thought this movie suffered from... It's the epitome of pretty people in a movie. That's what drove me nuts. More of the writing, but I don't know. I just hate
even our villain. I thought he was Andrew
I didn't
Garfield
like him
for a
at
second.
all. I hated him as a... I thought his acting sucked at first until he was bad. Until like we learned that it was his truck, and then I'm like,
Until he went heel,
well, then he was just... It was action packed then, so he didn't have to act as hard.
Yeah.
But I didn't like him at all as a bad guy, as a character, as a person, and I hate that I liked Paris Hilton's acting, and I thought her death was one of the best ones. I mean, watching that pipe go through her head and just hang out there on it and slide down on it, I liked that. But
I mean, I will say this for her: she turned out to be a pretty cool person after she grew up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't want to pick on her. Plus, it's just low hanging fruit. But yeah, I don't know. The performance didn't click with me.
A good sport for like not taking herself too seriously and being like, I know people want to watch me die because I'm famous, so let's roll with it and let's parody my sex tape and let's like make fun of me, and being aware and being in this thing is, I don't know. I think that's sort of cool in its own way.
Yep.
So, overall stance, Jason.
I really, the whole time I'm like, but everyone defended it for 20 years. But everyone defended it for 20 years. But everyone defended. So I think I made myself like it more.
Okay.
Maybe, but like, it's just the era it came out. All those remakes, all that MTV, pretty people shit, just wasn't my time. So I don't love it. But the soundtrack was great. The kills were fine, and the end was cool. That's where at least it did something different. But I understood, I think, why people defended it back then. If you liked movies then, and The Fog and all, if you liked those movies, I could see why you liked it. Maybe it would have helped to have watched it back then. Maybe not.
See, I think maybe my problem is the opposite effect, that all that hype from the horror community kind of did the opposite, where I'm just like, okay, I don't get it.
But you said
I don't get the hype. Okay.
Yeah. It was fine.
Okay. Tad, what more trivia do you have for this one?
Some good stuff. The town of Ambrose was constructed in 10 weeks and was modeled after a real town in Eritrea called Asmara. Asmara was built by the Italians in Africa during World War II in the modern style rather than the Deco style, which was more popular at the time. So Jared Padalecki is 1 foot taller than co-star Alicia Cuthbert. To make herself appear taller in scenes where she and Padalecki would be filmed together, she taped 2-inch blocks of wood to the bottoms of her boots. This was only done during scenes where they would be shot from the knee up. So she's tiny, he's tall. I know someone else who deals with that.
So
the film.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No. This is your moment.
The film was nominated for 3 Razzies, including Worst Picture, Worst Supporting Actress for Paris Hilton, and Worst Remake or Sequel. But it lost to Dirty Love and Worst Remake or Sequel to The Son of Mask. But Hilton did win Worst Supporting Actress.
Did she accept her award like Halle Berry did for Catwoman?
I don't think so. Tom Green brought his own red carpet and accepted all 10 of his awards for Freddie Got Fingered.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was probably going for that when he made the movie.
Yeah, but that is, like I said, this has pages and pages of interesting trivia, and I found it I probably actually ended up liking the movie more after reading all the stuff, like the director insisting that when he pitched this, like as much practical effects as possible. And to me, that's like the highlight of this is some of that is
that's cool that he fought for that.
Yeah, and very little post, because especially at that time, like you get some of that CGI in there. It's very like 2005 CG digital is just looks like shit. So I'm glad they didn't do too much of that.
Yeah, I knew we were all watching that house go down, and we're like, "How are they doing this? How's that shot?
Right.
What'd they do there?" So that was cool.
Yeah, I might go back and watch the exterior shot of the whole house melting, because, I want to try to figure that out.
Yeah.
I was like, is that miniatures? But usually when you do, like, miniatures that are on fire, you could tell because of the fire
the
that
flames
it's a miniature.
don't scale.
Yeah.
Well, go to IMDb and look in the trivia section, because, like I said, it is like pages long. They probably have exactly how they did it in there, because this, like I said, they documented the making of this thing for MTV. There was another thing, it's not up here, but a soundstage that they, like at the beginning of shooting, someone left a candle lit, ironically, House of Wax, and it burned it down, and like they got sued, and so.
That's a really bad sign.
Yeah.
All right, so Tad, what's our next film?
Our next film is from 2016. It is called Antibirth.
How long have you been feeling like this?
I guess since the other night.
What happened?
I blacked out. I can't remember.
Do you remember the last time you performed intercourse?
You better not have been Mickey.
I haven't been laid in months.
You're pregnant. I really can't be pregnant. This is not my style.
And your man goes, wah, 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 wah.
I'm just saying.
If you're pregnant, you're gonna have to slow it down.
If I'm pregnant, maybe I can give this kid some superpowers. I can see things. I can barely take care of myself, let alone some weird immaculate conception.
Whatever's inside of me is infecting my brain, my body.
Are you having difficulty remembering things? You feel like somebody switched the channel.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Gabriel knows someone who's seen something like this before. Yeah, I don't think anyone's seen something like this before. It's time.
You should be proud, Lou.
Guess I've just always been a real overachiever.
Oh my goodness.
Natasha Lyonne plays Lou, a walking hangover with a diet of beer, drugs, and bad decisions. When she wakes up mysteriously pregnant, her best friend, Chloe Sevigny, how do you say her last name?
Yep.
Equally unbothered, shrugs it off until things start oozing, mutating, and generally violating the laws of nature. Imagine if Trainspotting was directed by David Cronenberg. This movie, how it came into my collection was a family videos going out of business. This movie's like $1 on Blu-ray, and I love the cast, and the cover is cool as shit, and it's from Neon, so I was like, if I watch it once, it's worth the $2 or whatever. And it was worth the $2. I don't think it's as good as the cast would lead you to believe. It starts off, and I'm like, okay, I dig this. This is sort of like, but it's the first like 3/4 of it is just Natasha Lyonne like getting more and more pregnant, but not slowing down on beer and drugs, and she's just like, it's like I have like 12 friends like this. I don't need to watch this. Girl do this. And I'm like, where is this going somewhere? And we get these little hints, you know, through Chloe or her, I don't even know her friend's name, but Lou's friend, but like she's sort of going behind her back and talking to this drug dealer who has this like mutated hooker, and they have this weird liquid in the fridge, and then it sort of just lost me at the end when she gives birth to like a giant head thing and the government shows up, and I'm like, this was leading to this, and this is not a great ending. But it was sort of cool. Some of the effects were cool, but again, this is like, I hate to say it, but like in defense of House of Wax, the practical effects, some of this effects at the end there, I'm like, not so good.
Yeah, it's the whole movie is led up to that final moment shot. It kind of felt like we could have gotten to that quicker if that's your big moment.
But that was the big moment.
It was a big moment. It was a cool moment. But my biggest problem with this movie, I mean, there's a lot I like, so it's not. I'm just not all negative tonight. But I did not like the pacing of this film, and I think Tad kind of summed it up there too. It's you just spend like the whole first half of the movie just watching her just like drinking and doing drugs and just the sleazy lifestyle of all these characters, just way too long, and there's way too many long ass trippy dream sequences. That I know some of it's kind of premonition-y stuff, but I felt like served and just a lot in the whole first half that serves no other purpose other than just gross to be gross or whatever.
This is sort of cool. It made me think of like when you see a short and they're like, we're going to make it a feature. It feels like
that's what it with that ending. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It was like this could have just been a really kick-ass short.
Right, like it reminds me of something you would see like in the midnight, screening of a short film festival, but they try to stretch it to a feature, and it's like we don't need all this middle character development of her because it's not really developing her character. She just continues to fucking drink and smoke and be a piece of shit.
I mean, it's like the third act is 15 minutes long, and that's when everything starts to happen. Where what's her name? Meg Tilly, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, Meg Tilly, who's doing her best. Edward Furlong lookalike. Where she really gets involved, and they start actually trying to figure out what's going on and trying to figure stuff out, and all of that, which is the story, is 10 minutes of the movie.
Well, and none of it leads to an arc because she doesn't change.
Yes.
She doesn't want to
Nothing.
change anyway.
No.
Lou doesn't want to. Even after she gives birth, she's just like, well, fuck it. Nothing.
Yeah.
I learned nothing. Nothing's changed.
Nothing.
No, I don't want it to change. Yeah, it was too weird for me. That's all I had. I just don't. Just drug stuff. I don't give a fuck about.
Same.
It's not that I didn't. I mean, I enjoyed the creativeness of it. I can enjoy a day in the life of whatever, and it's Natasha. She's easy to watch. Chloe's
she kind of saves it and saves the character because she's just got this what I call her unique Peter Falk style of acting that I think really helps being able to follow the character, because otherwise the character's like, I don't give a shit. And it's not just because it's her, it's just her style of the performance.
Yeah, and I've loved Chloe since she's come out, since Kids, and so like I like it and I appreciate it, and the creativity, the lighting, the sets, it's all there, and I liked the ending because I'm like, one, something's happening, cool, and then it was badass because you're like, well, okay, it's this kind of movie, great. I mean, I thought they did a shit job of setting it up. Maybe it's there, but like after the fact, you could piece it together, I guess. But just getting there, there's too much. It got in its way too much, its own way. And
see, and I'm right there with you. I mean, I liked the ending.
But what the fuck?
Everything
That's
leading,
awesome.
Oh, dude, I want to be spoilery because again, that's the best part of the whole movie is that.
Yeah.
What we'll say is the birthing sequence. We'll just I'll put it that way.
Oh yeah, I'm like, oh.
When her head just,
Oh. Oh, and then she. Yeah, it's cool, and it's just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I can appreciate it. What the fuck? I too am nervous. Brian hasn't said anything. God dang it!
I liked it more than all the rest of you.
See, yeah, that's what I was hoping.
I knew it. Yeah.
I love, like, I shouldn't say. I love a movie that's structured like this. I don't think this one quite pulls it off the way it could have, but I like that slow trickle of information. But I agree with all of you that it takes way too fucking long to even start the drip.
Yeah.
Where we're just spending too much time, like maybe 2 scenes at the most of this constant, like, oh, you need to slow down your partying, would have got the point across, and we could have got into the other shit a little quicker. But I like that they're like, well, where the fuck is this going? Something happened to her at this party. It's maybe made her pregnant. Okay, she's pregnant real quick. Something fucked up's going on here. Oh, the people who made this movie really like Extra. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm with you there too. Yeah.
I think the end should have been grosser. Like, really, really fucking gross. The thing, like the creature at the end is cool.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, that belongs in a Gilman movie. Where's my fucked up, gross alien monster? Like, it just seemed a little too...
Right, it was just a little bit
It
grosser
wasn't threatening
version
enough. It was just like a cool monster suit. But I wanted it to be...
similar to the Chuck E. Cheese monster suit, guys.
Yeah, because
Like,
this is
wasn't
like...
Okay,
The movie sets up all this really fucked up body horror. Like, the scene with her cutting that blister on the bottom of her foot was disgusting.
Oh, I looked away.
The
It was
end
awesome.
should have matched that, and it didn't. And that's where
That's a
I
good
think
point.
it fails the most for me. And like I said, the way they should have started the information drip a little bit sooner, because by the time they start to feed you the little tidbits of what's going on, you're just sick of watching Natasha Lyonne smoke.
Yep.
And a movie that can make me sick of watching Natasha Lyonne do anything, like, but I mean, what that's a feat in and of itself.
Yeah.
But so yeah, like, this is like, it felt like, ooh man, if John Skipp and Craig Spector had written this in the mid '80s, it would have been fucking incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as it is, it's just pretty good. It's fine.
I think that's where that's where I'm at. Again, I felt like I was sounding really negative. I didn't hate this one. It's just fine. Just not a fan of the pacing, and there's just way too much of let's do some more drugs, let's drink some more alcohol, let's smoke some more cigarettes, and
so this is really a weird thing to focus on. But so the bit where she finally goes into her job, cleaning rooms at the hotel.
Yeah.
And she's with her friend, and they clean out that first room, and she's eating the pizza out of the box, and her friend's like, that's gross, somebody left that there. And she's like, yeah, no one touched this. It's good. What, am I going to not eat this free pizza?
That right there is an awesome Natasha moment. That's I'm not saying that's her, but I'm just like, that goes along with what I was talking about with the way her performance.
But there's this little bit of business as she's eating it. She picks off one piece of pepperoni and flings it aside. Like, I don't want this thing, but I'm going to eat the rest of this. What was on that one piece of pepperoni that made this character go, even I can't ingest
Maybe she's
this
vegan.
thing? But there were other pieces of pepperoni that she kept eating. She just picked one piece of pepperoni off this pizza and flung it. Like, was there a used condom sitting on that piece of pepperoni?
Yeah. I think I mentioned this on the last episode. I've been watching Poker Face. There is even an episode with Chloe in it too. So I got confused watching this.
Why is she pregnant?
Yeah. And she was a producer on it too. I saw that she was a producer on it, so she must have obviously felt pretty passionate about this. Maybe not get like a first-time director, maybe.
Yeah, it's her movie. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. End of the day, it's all right. Didn't hate it.
Weird, but
didn't love it. Yeah. Trivia, Tad. What do you got?
Not a whole lot on this one. I found this interesting. This was Meg Tilly's first movie after a 22-year hiatus. You come back for this. Okay. And then this is not really good trivia, but it's what I got, guys. The film's cast includes 2 Oscar nominees, Chloe and Meg Tilly, and an Emmy Award nominee, Natasha Lyonne. So, a lot of nominees, a lot of bridesmaids, no brides.
Oh, and that's it?
That's all I got.
Okay. All right, so there you have it, folks. We've unwrapped all of our movies in our collections, and we've watched everything we own, right?
Ha, ha, ha.
Oh, that means we're going to have to come back.
For me.
I mean, you're done.
I'm done.
It's just me
I have like
unwrapping all
300
yours.
things still in the plastic, so
Oh, my God. I thought I was
we're good.
bad. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have our final 2 segments. But first, you're going to hear a promo for our network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. The PFPN is home to so many great shows, such as Land of the Creeps. I think it's probably the longest-running show on our network, maybe even longer than us.
Yep, by like half a year.
Yeah. Land of the Creeps is a weekly horror podcast that takes an informative yet entertaining look at old and new horror movies. Check out Land of the Creeps and all the other shows at thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
I remember when we first, met Greg Amortis from Land of the Creeps, and when we joined that other podcast network that he was on, and I felt like, Greg Amortis is the elder statesman of the horror podcast community. So, and now,
just Greg.
Yeah, brothers from another mother. So. All right, it is time now to hear from you guys, the listeners. Here's Jason with shout-outs.
It's time for shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
All right, we asked, do you own any movies you've never actually seen? What are those Blu-rays still in the wrapper, collecting dust on your shelf? What are they? Let's hear them. Admit it. You all do it. But these brave souls are the ones who fessed up. Up first on our Facebook page, we got Nightmare Junkhead.
Nice.
They say, we've devoted a month of programming to this very concept based on the collection of Genius McGee. And we took in and talked Nightmare Weekend.
Sweet.
Castle Freak.
Good one.
And The Collection. Hugs from your KC brethren. Hey, guys.
Yeah, maybe we should do a whole month of that.
Just so you guys could
instead
open
of one
some
episode every year. So
Right, yeah.
Not bad, not bad. All right, and then over in our Facebook group, we got Attacker Rose. She says, some Willie Nelson movie, Pure Country, Pure Heart, that Nikki got me for Easter one year. My husband won't let me watch it. LOL. But one day I'll subject him to it. Yeah, is that a joke gift from Nikki? Was it?
Is there backstory to that?
I don't think so.
I don't want to know. We got Attacker Hot Rod Hutchinson here. He says, I actually just unwrapped a Vinegar Syndrome movie the day before this post. I watched The Hearse from 1980 for the first time. Thought it was going to be a killer machine movie, but turned out to be more of a ghost story. Loved it.
Sweet.
And then lastly, we got Attacker Jacob McLaughlin says, of my horror movies, my big ones, at least for me, are The Creature Walks Among Us,
Oh, so good.
Open it.
Yeah.
The original Fly sequels. Open it.
Yeah, especially Curse of the Fly.
The Invisible Man sequels.
Wow, what's going on? Come on.
Maybe open them.
Classic.
And Tremors 2. Nobody said
I love that one. Almost as good as the original.
Almost. He said it came with the box set, and I never watched it. The Fly 2, he said. The Fly 2.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's talking about the Chris Wallace one.
Oh,
from
maybe,
the 80s.
yeah. I still like that one a lot.
There's man, that movie makes me so sad because of the dog thing.
Oh, there's that.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Timex, yeah.
Yeah, well, those are... Thank you, brave souls, for admitting it. And speaking of admitting it, that brings us to our voicemail today. Let's listen.
Hey everybody, Attacker Brian here, and I have a problem.
Yep.
And if this was Blu-rays Anonymous, I'd have to stand up in front of the group and say to everybody, oh, my fucking Blu-rays are unwrapped. I don't know what you people are talking about. What's everybody's problem? Y'all just need to unwrap your movies and take the time and watch them. Because I have no movies in shrink wrap. I unwrap everything the day I get it and call into work and watch every movie that I own.
Bullshit.
I don't know what your guys' problem is, that you have time to do a whole episode about stuff that you need to unwrap and watch. That is not what's going on over at my house.
Well, no, because
And
you back
they
a dump
say
truck up to every garage sale you
that
see. And
saying you have a problem is the first step to recovery. And those 12 steps seem like a long fucking way, and I'm fat, so I'm going to stay down here at the bottom and watch a movie. Until next time, grab the popcorn, suck the pop in a glass bottle, some jujubes, join me at Diabetic Land, and watch a movie. And take care. Bye-bye.
I like that he works up his own sign-off for his shout-outs. That's great.
That's from watching too much Joe Bob.
You're a liar, Brian.
That's right.
You're the
he's
worst
not,
offender.
because he doesn't have to unwrap most of the movies he owns. That's the catch.
Yeah, I guess did he say he watched them?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Yes,
He
liar.
did. So we already know he's a liar because as many movies as he's buying, he has
There's
no
no way.
time to leave voicemails. He's busy watching movies that he bought.
Yes, so as this episode, you imagine, we encourage you to open and watch your movies. All right. Well, you two can leave a voicemail if you want. We'll play it on the show. That'd be great. You just give us a call at 415-952-6857. That's 415-95-AOTKP. And leave us that voicemail and be on the show.
So, guess what, guys?
What?
I think I may have ran out of awesome 80s
Old
shot-on-video
shitty ass
movies.
Oh, thank God.
That's not true.
Oh.
That's never going to be true. But sadly, there is no Insane's Picks for this episode. So, sorry, guys, but I will be back with something amazing in the next episode
I'm sure.
that you guys all need to see. So, with that said, let's wrap it up.
Wait, unwrap. Well, we just
Oh, yeah.
unwrapped it.
Oh, yeah,
So
we
now
just
we're
unwrapped
wrapping
it.
it
Now we have
back
to
up.
Wrap it back.
If we wrap it
Trade
back
it
up,
in.
then we have another one of these episodes to do later on.
Oh, God.
So that concludes another episode of Attack of the Killer podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Don't forget, join our Discord and enter that contest. You can win some really cool stuff.
From us.
From us, the Attacker, or the podcast crew. Absolutely. We're also on Instagram, X, YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. Like us on Facebook and Threads, or TikTok. And be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you want to leave a review. That's fine. You can spray paint it on the wall on the side of your house. A really
Write
cool
it on
review.
the stall wall in the bathroom.
That would be
For a good
great.
time, listen to.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on Attack of the Killer podcast.
Oh no, could this be the end of?
Attack of the Killer